Hey everyone, this is lecture 7, composed on the 21st of July 2020, around 8:30 in the early evening. A few announcements. So far as I've gone, I'm going to I have used Blackboard. We will not use the cloud or Dropbox in this course. And I may use YouTube. I've got to look into that as yet. Today I uploaded the content for the writing assignment number 1. I uploaded it on the Baruch College Blackboard. You will see a reading that I wrote, an article that I wrote for an investment letter in Canada. And then there's an instruction page, okay? And you are to write, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4 pages about the reading, and specifically I would like for you to address what we know about the coronavirus since what we've come to know about the coronavirus since April of 2020. I'm writing another article for them to update the reading that you have attached to writing assignment number 1. The article has withstood the march of events through time here. You know, all that it has said and posited has come to be true, except there are some problems with what it was said about the coronavirus itself. So I would like to add quite a bit to an article of what we know. What do I want to say? What we know about the coronavirus, and it's quite a lot. Back in April, we did not know enough about the coronavirus. I fear that is still true, but we have learned some things, and I wonder if you could, in your writing of the assignment, put down as much as you know about the coronavirus, and you know, help me out here. I intend this writing assignment as a means for you to earn an easy 20% of your course grade. I intend to start out the grading of this writing assignment at 93 points out of 100. And of course, if you don't do the writing assignment, you cannot pass the course. You will fail the course. If you just put 1 or 2 sentences down, or you know, you give the assignment a lick and a promise, then maybe you will score below 90. But the idea here is for you to write this exercise, tell me about the coronavirus itself, and hopefully we can add to our knowledge, and of course add to a new article that's being written. So please don't hesitate to tell me what you know, and I will, of course, cite you in the paper, the new article, if you've supplied something that's new and that I use. So have fun with this. I think the article is very informative and very forward-looking, and it's pretty much right on the mark. It has stood the test of time, withstood the test of time. And so I hope that you take your time with this, and you know, just by writing the assignment, you're helping yourself, of course, but you're also helping me. And this has quite a bit of coverage up in this newsletter, there's quite a bit of coverage up in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. So we want to do a good job. And anyway, Bob's your uncle there. So the writing assignment is there for you to you can see the instructions page. You can see the reading or the article that I did back in April. And you have the due date for this assignment is Monday, August 3rd. And I have to receive your submission no later than 9 p.m. And you send the submission to my Baruch email address, and it is william.henry@baruch.cuny.edu. That's william.henry@baruch.cuny.edu. So please send it to me by email, your complete written assignment. The let's see, we have I received a joke from Anonymous. The individual does not choose to use his name. So here is the joke that I want to present to you tonight from one of your colleagues. And here it is. Did you hear of the economist who dove into his swimming pool and broke his neck? And I didn't. I haven't. So the punchline is he forgot to seasonally adjust. Did you hear of the economist who dove into the swimming pool and broke his neck? He forgot to seasonally adjust. Aha. So there we have it. It's pretty good. Thank you, Mr. Anonymous, or Miss Anonymous. And I like to begin the lecture with a joke. So we have one more that I've received, and I will hold that for the next lecture. Now, Lecture 6 concerned itself with graphing, and most especially graphing the quantity theory of money. And learning the quantity theory of money has a big payoff. What is that payoff? You complete your theory of price in your head. If you made a diligent effort to learn the price theory in your microeconomic courses, you can be very, very proud. However, the professor probably didn't tell you that you're really learning only one half of price theory, because economics is minimally the study of exchange. And in microeconomics, you're looking at the non-monetary good. But in monetary economics, we look at the economic good money, and we apply supply and demand analysis to the economic good money. So we wind up with 4 static propositions. And what are they? Well, yesterday's lecture 6, was on the case 1 of an increasing supply of money and credit. And case 2, which we will cover tonight here, the case of a decreasing supply of money and credit. Case 3 tomorrow will be covered. That's an increasing demand for money and credit. And finally, case 4, a decreasing demand for money and credit. Excuse me. So, in covering the quantity theory of money and its static propositions, we also realize that we can apply it in a dynamic sense to include it in the econometric models that econometricians have formulated, and also, you can allow the supply of money and credit to change along with the demand for money and credit to change, such as we have going on right now in our economy. There's been a tremendous increase by the Federal Reserve in the money supply, M2 in, oh, what was it? Was it April or was it May? It was growing at an 18.5% clip. And the demand for money was increasing because there's a tremendous increase in the demand for credit. Interest rates are extremely low. People are trying to get their hands on money so as to pay interest and part of the principal of already existing loans. And then we have the demand for cash, for not only the to pay interest and principal back on loans, but for other things as well. So there's a tremendous increase in the demand for money. And I think the supply is a little bit more important than the demand here in this instance at this point in time. So you can expect the rate of inflation to increase in the United States, say, oh goodness, by, where was it? In that reading, I believe I said the rate of inflation should increase to 3.1%, an additional 1% above my estimate that I used with the calculation of the natural rate of interest. So, everybody, you have static analysis and you have dynamic analysis, and this is a very, very important distinction. Static analysis holds everything else equal, nothing else is changing but the one variable, and dynamic analysis allows for two variables or more to change. And so we have demand for money, supply of money, those two things changing, but other variables can change as well. So we've gone through case one, and we made use of three graphs, and see if I can find the three graphs. Let's see, where are we here? Here we are. And I'm going to share. I think I've discovered how to bring these graphs onto the screen so you can see it. And I will not be able to see it on my screen, but I already have a monitor set up showing the three graphs that aren't connected to Zoom. So here I go. I'm going to share with you now. And I hope the three graphs are in front of you. The three graphs I used yesterday evening in the graphing of case one. I used the same three graphs for case two, and will for three, and will for four as well. So we tonight are considering case two of the quantity theory. We are going to decrease the supply of money and credit. And what kind of a world would that leave us? What would happen to prices, purchasing power of money, and interest rates? And so I want to start with the money supply, money demand graph. The characteristic feature of this graph is that it has on the vertical axis the purchasing power of money. And the purchasing power of money is designated by the ratio 1 over P. Another name for the purchasing power of money is the exchange value of money. Same thing, okay? And so let's get started. In that first graph, I'm going to have, I should say, I'm going to have to ask you to follow closely, and you do the shift on your notebook paper at home. I don't know how to shift those curves on Zoom, and therefore I'm going to describe what happens, and if you just simply draw your what happens on your two-dimensional graph. So we have on the vertical axis purchasing power of money, and on the horizontal axis the quantity of money supplied and demanded. And so the exercise, case 2, is to decrease the supply of money and to decrease the supply of credit. So what we want to do is label our initial starting point. That's where the two curves intersect. We shall call the intersection point on the horizontal axis as M1. And so our exercise is calling for a decrease in the money supply. And we will have, as read off the horizontal axis, a number to the left of M1, and it really is 0, M2. And of course, the difference between M2 and M1 is the change in the money supply. It is decreasing, as read off the horizontal axis. So we put down M2 on the horizontal axis, and then we're set to do all of our tricks that we learned yesterday. From the new point on the horizontal axis, we can draw a perpendicular line segment up to the curve that the graph is unconcerned with. And in this first graph, with case 2, we are concerned with the supply of money. So we draw a perpendicular line segment up to the demand curve. The line segment intersects the demand curve, and we label that point 2. And because we have point 2, we are now in position to draw a new money supply curve that is parallel to the old one, and it will be higher in space than the old one. The new graph will be parallel to the old one, but above it. And point 2 has a higher purchasing power of money, as read off the vertical axis, than point 1. Point 1, we will label the purchasing power of money at point 1 in parentheses now, 1 divided by P, end of parentheses, subscript 1. And so the purchasing power of money associated with point 2, that is as the new supply curve gives us a new purchasing power of money in parentheses 1 over P subscript 2, and the purchasing power of money at point 2 is much greater than the purchasing power of money at point 1. So what are we saying? You decrease the money supply, and the purchasing power of money will increase. Now, in the second graph, we're going to look at the price of apples, and we have assumed apples are indicative of the price behavior of most goods in the economy when the money supply decreases. And we already know what is going to happen to price because we know what is happening to 1 over P. 1 over P is increasing. Mathematically, for 1 over P to increase, the denominator P must decrease. So prices are going to decrease in this case. And when we show that in graph 2, it will be consistent with the conclusion of graph 1 that the purchasing power of money has increased. So everyone, let's go to the second graph, which we have a market equilibrium graph for apples, supply and demand curves, and the price of apples on the vertical axis, but our modification there is just to express P as a ratio. So we have P over 1 on the vertical axis, and we have the quantity of apples supplied and demanded on the horizontal axis. If the money supply decreases, then money income decreases. This is the intuition we have. And so our intuition is that we will purchase less bushels of apples because of the changing money supply and the decrease in income. So we have Q1 as our initial starting point in the graph where the two curves intersect. Then we put in Q2. Q2 is to the left of Q1, and OQ2 is less than OQ1. Q2 Q1 is the actual decrease in the purchase of apples. Our intuition tells us that we are going to make less expenditures because our money income has decreased due to the changing money supply. Well, in the second graph, when your mind or imagination mentions expenditure or spending, either word, then we know the curve we are concerned with in the second graph is the demand curve for apples. That would be the, and I hope the color is right here, it looks like a rust color or orange color for the demand curve. The supply curve for apples is blue. So now, since we have Q2 on the horizontal axis to the left of Q1, we use our trick again. We take a perpendicular line segment up to intersect the curve we are unconcerned with. And in this particular graph, we are unconcerned with the supply curve, which is the positively sloped blue line in the graph. Let's see. From Q2, we draw a line to the supply curve, a perpendicular line. We intersect the old supply curve at point 2. And so because we have point 2, we are in position now to draw a parallel line segment to the old demand curve. We construct a new demand curve by making a curve parallel to the old one. And so everybody, notice at intersection point 2, the price of a bushel of apples is less than the price of a bushel of apples at point 1. So sure enough, our result is the price of apples decreases, the bushel of apples decreases. And for most goods in the economy, prices will decrease because the money supply is decreased. So this result is consistent with our first graph, which shows an increase in the purchasing power of money on the vertical axis. So everybody, we have completed really the analysis in graph 1 and graph 2 of the second case. Now we ask the question, what happens to the nominal rate of interest? And so we go to our third graph, which is the quantity of loanable funds graph. And we have the nominal rate of interest on the vertical axis, and we have the quantity of loanable funds supplied and demanded on the horizontal axis. And the intersection point of the two curves, we'll call it point 1, gives us, on the horizontal axis, we'll call it QLF1, quantity of loanable funds 1, and represents a certain quantity. And of course, the case is to decrease the amount of credit, case 2, And therefore, we're looking for a number to the left of QLF1, namely QLF2. So 0 QLF1 represents a greater number than 0 QLF2. So now we use our trick again on the perpendicular line segment. And I might add that this makes graphing mechanical, and but it should increase your precision. And really, people, it's not that difficult. It's not rocket science. And if you have a younger brother or sister at home in, let's say, 4th or 5th, 6th grade, they can do this analysis just as well as we can, had they the attention span that we have. Some do, but some don't at that, in those grades, at those younger ages. But anyway, we take our perpendicular line segment up to the curve we are unconcerned with here. And the exercise tells us we're concerned with the supply of credit. So we go to the demand curve for credit, go all the way up with our perpendicular line segment until it intersects the old demand curve. We label the intersection point, point 2, and we notice that the nominal rate of interest at point 2 is greater than the nominal rate of interest at point 1. So everyone, what have we shown here in these 3 graphs in consideration of case 2, the case of a decreasing supply of money and credit? First, in the first graph, we show the money supply decreasing, which in turn affects the purchasing power of money. Purchasing power of money increases, and then we go to the second graph. We notice we consume less bushels of apples, but the price of apples, the bushel of apples, decreases. But you see, this is consistent. This result is consistent with the purchasing power of money increasing. If 1 over P is to increase, then P must decrease. And so we must show in our second graph the, what do we want to say, the fall in price of a bushel of apples. And then we'll go to the third graph, everyone, and we're looking at the nominal rate of interest. We notice that by decreasing the supply of credit, the nominal rate of interest increases relative to our starting off point. What we've done is really decrease the supply of loanable funds, and the demand for loanable funds is spread off the horizontal axis, and that results in a higher rate of interest than in the previous time period. So everyone, this is case 2, and again, you should learn this case and the other cases inside and out, upside and down. You should know it, and you will be tested on it on the 29th of July when we write our midterm examination. I will choose 2 of the 4 cases and have you draw the graphs for those cases. What's important is to label the axis in each graph, to shift the graph properly for the case in question, and to tell me what is happening on each graph. For example, purchasing power increasing or decreasing in the money supply, money demand graph, and what is happening to the amount of money supplied and demanded on the horizontal axis. And the same for the other 2 graphs. We want to show what is happening. I do not want an explanation, a paragraph of what's occurring. All I want to do is see 3 graphs and what is happening in each graph for the particular case. So everyone, this is intended as a short lecture, and so I'm going to in the lecture tonight. Again, yesterday, lectures 5 and 6 were added to the Blackboard. This one will be added tonight. I think I shall do lecture 8, covering the case of a increasing demand for money and credit tonight, and then call it a day. So remember also, we have the first writing assignment with its content uploaded today. So you have until until August 3rd, 2020 to submit the writing assignment. And people, you must write the writing assignment. If you don't, you do not pass the course. So thank you very much, and I will end the lecture now.